Well, it's great to be here. As Paul, my name's Michael Wekerle, has been advertised here, and when Paul Sparks, who's our media kind of guru at Difference Capital, says, Wick, Lord Thunder, Jesus, I don't like surprises. Stay to the script. Hold this for a second, please. Yes. So, sorry, Paul, it's a surprise. And we got good friends. So I see some old friends and some new friends here. And I was just talking to Bob Lane here, and it's great to see people that have great experience and great tenure in this industry, and it shows you that how do you get 55 years of experience? 55 years, and it's great to see you here and meet you for the first time. But what I find about this industry is that it changes. I've been in the industry for 32 years. When I started in the industry, I started on the Toronto Stock Exchange floor, and Griffiths McBurney & Partners started as a technology/resource kind of dual platform. And taking BlackBerry public in the first part of 95, 96 was a really exciting time when the battery-operated BlackBerry device was the only one we had. Until you actually used it, you didn't know the effect of it. And there's David Chilton. I want to say right now, thank you very much, David. The wealthy barber, the smartest guy on the Dragon's Den by far, and has the best sense of humor, and he'll sign books for small fees. Get your wallets out. That's just a joke. But great guys, great to see you here, David. Thank you very much for making the time to come here. Thank you. Chili. Now, we had lots of fun doing Dragon's Den, and there'll be lots of humor, so I suggest you watch it, and you will have a whole different opinion of me. You won't think I'm the quiet conservative type that I am. But one of the things that I find about entrepreneurs, having been one myself, it's taken me 32 years to do what I've done, and like I said, I'm an overnight success. It just took me 32 years. And everyone who's gone through the efforts and the struggles and the pains of starting a new company, it really is about delta. Delta is the magnitude of change. You're either dynamic or you're dead. And when people come out and speak at a time, and I see pitches all the time in my life, and you really can tell the jockeys who are enthusiastic, and judging by the audience today, I'm very proud to be a part of Branham Group. I'm very proud to be with the people within Branham, and Stu Gavin for introducing us to Wayne and the team, who's been a long-term friend and a good friend of mine, and shows as well. He got two tricks. I'm a one-trick pony, but it's a good trick. He's got two tricks, being the hockey player that he is. But one of the things I find about entrepreneurs is that it's a very unique skill because it takes a lot of drive, a lot of passion, and it takes conviction. As I said from someone who was a senior to me, he said, sometimes wrong, but never in doubt. And that's the spirit of the crowd right here, and take us back. So going back to where I went back to when we started Difference Capital, this was 2011, September. Paul Sparks and myself sat down. He had just sold with Yvonne Fasson, CTV, who's now our current partner at Difference Capital. And we said, what are we going to do? And we kind of thought about it, and I said, man, I think that the best time to get into a market is when the indexes are telling you the opposite. We came into this market when the technology index was less than 2%, and the resource index was over 50%. And it's funny, back in 1999, it was completely the reverse opposite. And as much as people looked at me like I had three heads on BNN when I said that publicly, I don't think I had one friend in the resource industry at that point in time. But Paul gave me the conviction to build a team, and we've got a fantastic team that are present here today. And Difference Capital is an example of everyone here of the need to raise capital. We looked at BlackBerry as an opportunity, not as a negative. Northern Telecom was the same thing. I just wish I was there earlier to pick up the pieces there as well. Some great entrepreneurs come out of the universities in Toronto. Some great entrepreneurs come out of BlackBerry. Some great entrepreneurs come out of every major company. Wayne himself with his friends from Cognos and Kim DeVoot that came out with him at the same time. These are people that have built a business, understand the technology, and have a vision. And vision is very difficult to articulate that because it takes a lot of conviction, and sometimes it's lonely at the top when you're making those decisions. But at the same time, when it comes to the finale and you're winning, as BlackBerry did, there's a lot of people at the end of the train that are on your side, patting your back and say, I knew you'd always do it. But I can tell you, I know everybody here knows exactly the same thing, those sleepless nights, the times you're waking up in the middle of the night to run your business, And every day you're being innovative and dynamic, which is really the key to Canadian business. I'd like to keep the Canadian business intact in the sense that there has to be more participation. You know, Wayne echoed it earlier. You know, we need to help finance, help keep the jobs in Canada, help take the intellectual property and rent it, not sell it. And I think that's one of the key things we're trying to get at Difference Capital. You know, I've had a very blessed life, and you know, one of the things when going to Waterloo and Kitchener, other than Chile lives there, Robert David Chilton, is that the fact that, you know, there's some great talent, and you know, rather than standing back and watching the world go by, you look who's there. So Motorola's there, Google's there. There's a reason why they're ending up there, because of the talent and the entrepreneurial spirit. Who would have thought that BlackBerry would be the company that it was when we started in 1995, 96? And they didn't believe it. I was talking to Dennis Kavelman today of a little company called Desire to Learn. And here's another great company that's coming up and going to be another dynamic force in the way we look at you know, technology. And you know, everything is changing. 5 years ago there wasn't an iPad around, and now technology is driven to PDA devices. And I think that, you know, when you look at that, you say everything is becoming automated, whether it be federated networks, whether it be recurring revenue models, a SaaS model. Everyone understands that this is a model that goes back from the beginning of time. You know, we call cell phone subscriptions. You know, it goes back to your cable. And I think that once people realize that it makes their life easier and simple, it's a very simple thing, yet you don't really realize it until it's passing you by. And that's what the innovation of this group here right now. And I just talked to Rob over here, Rob Moffat. He's 25 years. He's built 5 startups, and he just sold his last company a year ago, Rob? 2. Okay, now you're just bragging. But, you know, he's 27. He started with his 2. But, you know, that's the entrepreneurial spirit that we have here, you know. It's that never say die event that, you know, you see people here of all likes, all ages that come in here, and, you know, we all want the same thing. You know, we all want to be successful, yet capital has been very difficult to attract in the last 10 years. So the guys that are here are survivors, and I thank every one of you for showing up here, my partners and the people around the table, because in technology is driven off an art and science. Sometimes the science is relatively easy to follow through because it has to do with a lot of, you know, what I'd say, process, thesis, etc. But the art is actually, you know, how do you go out there and build a business? Having not done it before, the best way to learn is by making a few mistakes yourself. And in building Difference Capital, or GMP as I did, I always made sure I hired people that were a lot smarter than me. And in that sense, you know, never be afraid to fail, because failure is not an option. And I think in looking at what we have here today with the Branham Group and Difference Capital, you know, we've got a great group of people here that have the technology, have the backbone of a great group of individuals that Wayne has built over 23 years. You know, that's a lot of hard work. And yet no one sees the day-to-day activity other than what's on a balance sheet. And I think you gotta look through a balance sheet, look through what's there and say there's a lot of intellectual property in this room. And that's really what we have to gravitate towards. Is intellectual property is one of the mainstays of Canada. We've built some great companies here. You know, looking at guys like Yvonne Fasson, who's a guru in media, walking around and seeing him pitch Thunderbird today, one of our investments. Man, like, to sit there and say, 10 years ago, when I was competing with Newcrest and every other Canadian brokerage firm for that same business for CTV, Globe Media, or Basil Broadcasting, when he was consolidating the industry, he's done it before. You know, a lot of the guys here around the table, like I said, you know, I got more roadmap on my face than most people, but the makeup at Dragon's Den does a good job. That's true. See, the baby look good. Don't watch the very sleek body. But I'll tell you, you know what? If you can't make fun of yourself, you can't make fun of nothing. You know, and you know, like I said, we're building something at Difference in a time where we know we're going to do well at it. We believe we have conviction, and we're going to provide capital. You know, we put our money where our mouth is. Everyone is personally invested to what is the maximum that they can do. And we're looking at building an area in Kitchener, Waterloo, Ottawa, Toronto, and going from there. But right now, we know we're on the right track. It's taken a little bit of lean years for our analysts who are complaining to me about their underpay, which I say, and what's your point? It's only money, Tom. But, you know, as we laugh, that's Tom Nassar, Chief Investment Officer. And never complain, never explain. That's Henry Ford II. You know that story, it's very funny. But at the end of the day, you know, what we have going on here is a group of people that, you know, 5 years ago, we would have got 1/4 of the people here in this room. And I think Wayne has reinvigorated his brand. And I just want to say one thing. Tech is back. Tech baby. I put that over there. Thank you very much. Now David, I got David Chilton up here to give his view as a dragon to say about technology, having been a resident Kitchener-Waterloo, and what it's like to be in the hub.
I have no prepared remarks, but I'll be very brief. But you know, it's interesting, and I'm also recovering from a month of being with him. It was not easy. You know, coming from the outside world, knowing very little about tech until 2-3 years ago, and growing up in publishing and finance, the thing I find most fascinating is the spirit of cooperation and collaboration that exists in tech that doesn't exist anywhere else. You just don't see it. I mean, in the financial field, people view each other and all companies as true competitors. There's no sharing. But when you come to this field, not only best practices, but the lateral thinking you see as firms get to know each other and discuss and meet like this, it's all incredibly healthy. And I think it's one of the things that you've done a good job, Wayne, fostering, and that we have to do more and more of. The more we talk, the more we get to know each other, the better things will be. We had a fascinating pitch to end Dragon's Den this year. 3 young kids came on, early 20s, and they had read an article in the paper about a nanotechnology approach that had been so successful that NASA had picked it up from some Canadian engineers. And these guys looked at it and said, I think we can apply that same technology to sporting goods, and brought it over there. They're doing tremendously well. We all fought over the deal. But it's interesting, again, it's pure lateral thinking, and that's what this kind of meeting tends to foster. And I think in general in Canada, we're seeing more and more of that. So the capital has been a major problem. It's great to see difference now getting involved in that, and I think with the more players, the better. And it is great to see this turnout. I think you made a very valid point. 4 or 5 years ago, we've got 1/4 of the people here that we have here tonight, and that's what's happening. So indeed, tech is back. I'm not sure it ever went away, but it's back in a very strong way right now, and I think the future looks bright indeed.
Tech baby, too, baby. You know, it's very true. You know, it's great to have David here because, you know, coming on as a newbie of the Dragon's Den with Wekerle, I felt very honored to be part of it, but it made it very easy to sit beside David and Arlene and Jim, who really were incredible mentors and friends. And after the first day, David goes, man, did you really remember what you're going to say? I go, no. I didn't know what to say. He goes, man, keep it up. You're doing okay. Let's go. And that, you know, that encouragement got me through the first day, which I tell you, like I said, it was very, very nerve-wracking, albeit I didn't show it. I'm going to invite 2 people up that started in the industry at GMP with me, but not at GMP. It's going to be Gary Rubinoff and John Albright, who's our lead director, and to talk about technology here. This is totally impromptu, man. They're all freaking out. John, who got started with BlackBerry. But when I started GMP Securities, I was the first investor in their fund, and John and Gary, you know, worked together, and they sat in the back of this office in a bubble with a bunch of crazy guys, including myself, Griff, and G. McBurney, and a bunch of others. And, you know, it was a really exciting time, albeit it wasn't for the faint of heart, I wouldn't lie to you. But, you know, through that, we had a lot of laughs, and to this day, we still laugh about the same commentaries. Get Frank Holmes on the phone, eh, Gary? Get Frank Holmes on the phone. Here, Gary, Johnny, you gotta come up. There's no choice. He's our lead director of Difference Capital. Come on, Johnny. He's a slick-looking man. He's lost 4 pounds. He's now modeling underwear.
Well, see, Johnny and I and Weck go back well over probably 25 years. 25 years at least.
94.
Yeah, and
We were 7.
yeah, and you know, Johnny and I, we had a vision of being very proactive in terms of the deals that we did, as opposed to being reactive to deals landing on our desk. And so one of the first deals that we ever did was iStar Internet, which we had this idea that we were going to do a national ISP in Canada before UNet and PSINet and AOL came into Canada in any big way. And we did a roll-up. We bought this little company in Ottawa called iStar for $1.5 million for put in $1.5 million at $1.5 million pre-money valuation. And we started doing a roll-up, and that's where we met our other partners, Stuart Lombard and Osama Arafat. And we took the company public. Timing is very important, and we made a lot of money for a lot of investors. And did the same thing again with Q9 Networks.
Which really shows that.
was
It showed you
deciding to-
spawn investments from one investment. It created 3 investments out of that little enterprise of 2 guys sitting in our office.
Yeah, had this idea, same thing with Q9 Networks. It was at the time that Exodus was worth $5 billion, and we decided, hey, let's do a Canadian Exodus, and Osama was the perfect guy to.
Now keep in mind, this is like, at a time, Osama Arafat. Around 2001. You're not running a lot of airplanes. I love him.
So Osama,
Osama, where are you?
Osama was.
He's here. No, he's here somewhere.
He actually retired today.
Yeah, he's supposed to be. Is he here, Sam?
But Sambo did an unbelievable job at running Q9 Networks, which was bought for over $1 billion by Bell Canada, and made the guys at Albright.
Johnny made me sell it. I had 10% shareholding at GMP. I sold at $350. Thanks, John.
And when Johnny and I were together at Jefferson Partners, and he decided to go and leave to go to GMP, I walked into his office and said, "Johnny, why are you leaving?" And he said, "Because Ruby, I want to go start my own thing." And he said, "If I know you, you're going to want to do the same thing." And when I had an opportunity to go to BCE Capital, which we spun out into Summerhill, I went into Johnny's office. Well, it wasn't an office, we were in a bullpen.
Yeah.
And I said, Johnny, remember when you left Jefferson? And he said to me, "Ruby, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to want to do your own thing one day." Well, I'm going, and I'm doing it. And we're both entrepreneurs. We both stayed very close friends over a number of decades, along with Mike, and we've gone through lots of cycles in technology. There are incredible companies in Canada. There in technology. There are incredible entrepreneurs here. We are very, very excited about what the future holds for Canada in technology, and Johnny and I will definitely be doing more deals together.
And what we would like to say last in closing here is that for anyone who wants a event, calls 1-800, give us your money. I'll tell you, what, I put a lot of my own personal wealth, and I've made some, like I said, I'm good on timing, and that's really what my forte is. Having grown up as a kid, started working when I was 7 years old, and you just kind of look around, and you see the world, and if you step back a bit, you see how things move, and sometimes when you're so in deep into your own company, it's so difficult. And I see that, in everything I've started, including Difference, and including GMP, or First Marathon when I was there. But what I do know is the best time of my life when I was doing this stuff. And, John at Relay and Gary at Summerhill, they've done great things, and they've created a lot of value for companies, and Radiant and BlackBerry and Descartes and all the great companies here. And, I look at the guys like Mike over here, who's now doing my due diligence on Dragon's Den. He says, take a year off university to hang with me. How's that for an idea? Great to have you. But welcome everyone here. Thank you very much, Wayne. Thank you everyone else here. And I look forward to a great year in. Text back. Thank you.